pissed. And because of that, this video is going to be a little bit different from my more normal style video, but I'm going to be back to my regular schedule tomorrow. Anyway, I wasn't really supposed to do a video today, but I felt that this was really important. And the more I thought about it, honestly, I just got even more pissed. So I really felt that this was something that I should talk about. Anyway, what am I talking about? Well, if you haven't heard, MKBHD recently, if you don't know MKBHD, one of, if not the biggest tech reviewer out there, at least one of them, really awesome. I've been watching him for a while, but regardless, recently he actually did a review of this right here called the AI Pin. And it's basically this little device that you put on your clothing, and it has AI, and you can ask it questions, you can ask it about the weather, you can have it do things for you. And MKBHD just didn't like it, or at least this version of it. Now, obviously, a lot of people are going to think really quickly, well, why would I need that? I have my phone. And that is a really good question, but it's really not at all the point of this. In fact, MKBHD's review isn't the point of this video. It's some people's reactions to that review. Starting things off, this person on Twitter actually blew up a pretty large discussion on this. And really quickly, before I actually get into this, a lot of people are saying, oh, it's just this one person. But no, it's not. For one, when you look down here, yeah, it's starting to become ratioed, but at the same time, that's 11,000 people who actually agreed with this absolutely absurd take. But not only that, there was actually another review not too long before this, just a couple months ago, of a vehicle by Fisker, and a lot of people were reacting this exact same way. Now, I will say those people do seem to be in the vast minority, but that's why I think it's important to really discuss this and discuss this now before more and more people start thinking this is actually a good argument. Anyway, let's get to this tweet. It says this: I find it distasteful, almost unethical to say this when you have 18 million subscribers. Hard to explain why, but with great reach comes great responsibility. Potentially killing someone else's project reeks of carelessness. First, do no harm. Now, that last part, apparently he doesn't understand that that's a creed for doctors, not reviewers. In fact, I would argue they absolutely should do harm, not physical harm, obviously. He's not even referring to that here. We're talking harm to a product, harm to a company, something like that. But I would actually argue that that's essentially not exactly their job, but they absolutely do harm to companies when they have bad products. With that said, he seems to be, now this doesn't at all specifically reference to this title, though he does mention it later on, but at least after he got quite a bit of backlash for this, it does seem that he's at least more focusing on the title now more than ever. But regardless, I'd argue that's not important. And once again, this has happened more than once now, which is really why I just really want to discuss it, why it's pissing me off. Anyway, so I have a few points that I want to make. The first point I want to make is really why I feel this is so important. Marques Brownlee obviously is a huge YouTuber, and it would probably take a giant amount of people to make him change the way he does things simply because he's become huge based on the way he does things. But that's not the main issue. Think about this if you're an up-and-coming reviewer and you're seeing all of this. You're seeing all this backlash that he's been getting from quite a bit of people. Once again, there's plenty of people in the comments that agree with this guy. 11,000 likes. So if you're a reviewer, you're probably watching this and you're thinking, ugh, I'd better not give anything bad reviews anymore. For one, it pisses off the company, so they're not going to send me more stuff, and that obviously can hurt my brand, so I should definitely be good for that. But now, even other people are coming after even these huge YouTubers saying that they've damaged this company, this and that. So it just becomes easier to just always be nice. And of course, companies would love that, but that would harm the consumer. That would be a net negative for the consumer because now all they're hearing is positive. So there's basically no point in even having reviewers anymore. You're just going to have to go out, spend your own money and be your own reviewer, which once again defeats the entire purpose. That's one of the reasons why I think this is so important, but there's other reasons why this is so absurd to begin with. And one of those being companies lie all the time. They have entire teams, marketing teams, to do just that. Now, they may not necessarily be directly lying to you, but they're only showing you the good, none of the bad. They skew things to try and make them better than what they are. I mean, we all know that they do this. So if anything, we should have reviewers that are trying as hard as they can to be as critical as they can to offset the skewing that happens with marketing. And my second reason is because companies love reviewers. They send them products for free. And the reason for that is because if a reviewer says something good, it could really help out a company. But the simple fact is, if all they said was good, people would eventually learn, clearly they're just saying it's going to be good anytime. So therefore they won't rush out to buy a product if they give it raving reviews. Meaning, if you actually took away the honesty in reviewing, it would ultimately hurt good companies and help bad companies. That's exactly the opposite of what we should want to happen. Now, moving on to my third reason, we have the internet now. These people are basically acting like Marques Brownlee just completely tanked the company. No, it was the product that tanked the company. Let's pretend that he was completely off and he said that this product is horrible, but really it wasn't. Well, there's tons of other reviewers. And yeah, even if he is one of, if not the biggest one out there when it comes to tech reviews, there's still other ones that are very big. And not only that, but I mean, if it was just this amazing product, some people would buy it and they would spread word of mouth, and then more people would buy it, and then they'd spread word of mouth, more people would buy it. I mean, this idea that just such an amazing product could be completely destroyed by one person seems absolutely absurd to me. So this right here is that review. And then, so this is something, this kind of brings me to this. This is something about one of his other reviews that he did on a car from Fisker. And you can see it says, "This EV might crash after a YouTuber's review. They say more people subscribe to Brownlee's YouTube channel than to the New York Times, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, and USA Today combined." And these are people's choices. They chose to follow Marques Brownlee because they found over time that what he says is honest. And let's pretend that what he says isn't honest. They would eventually find out because they would see other reviewers, or someone would have bought it who, I don't know if you know this or not, but there's a lot of people that aren't online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So someone else may have seen it, thought it was cool, bought it, and then they told people about it. And let's honestly pretend that even if he could destroy a company with one video, he wouldn't be able to do that for long, because people would eventually find out probably pretty quickly, oh, maybe I shouldn't be just trusting him. Which, I mean, obviously a lot of people say, look at multiple reviews, and they absolutely should. But at the same time, if they don't want to, that's fine. And if they trust him, that's up to them. What are you trying to say? If the New York Times had more and they talked bad about it, oh, well, that would be okay because it's the New York Times. I mean, this is just unbelievably such a horrible take. And it's not even true. I mean, look at this. So this was his Fisker review video, but look at this. Look at this right here. This company has been crashing for months. This review video was just a couple months ago, but this has been crashing since late last year. What on earth are any of these people even talking about? So, I mean, it's even based on a lie. It's so ironic that these people kind of bash MKBHD, kind of saying, oh, he's lying about it or whatever. But it's like they're basing this, or they're perpetuating a lie themselves. Now, lastly, I just want to point this out. It says hard to explain why, but with great reach comes great. See, it's hard to explain why because your take is absolutely wrong. That's why it's hard to explain it, because it's wrong. Now, he later goes on to say, this is his response to people. Many people thought I was defending Humane or its product. I wasn't. You were. My observation was about MKBHD's scale of influence and how the power deserves more rigor than the sensational headline on YouTube, the worst product I've ever reviewed. He then goes on, I'm not even kidding you, actually admitting it might be the worst product he's ever reviewed. Then what is your problem? If it's the truth, it doesn't even matter if it's sensational. And let's actually pretend that it isn't the truth. If people are going to base their decision on buying a $700 product on a title, that's probably their issue. They maybe should have looked into it more. But at the same time, let's actually pretend that it wasn't the absolute worst product in the world that he's ever reviewed. Pretty much everyone on YouTube, not even just YouTube, we're talking major outlets, Wall Street Journal, things like that. Almost everyone does at least somewhat sensational titles, but let's actually pretend that it isn't the worst product ever. As long as it isn't an outright lie and that he wrote it's the worst product ever, but then the review was like, I love it. No, he ultimately didn't like it and didn't suggest people buy it. So even if they saw that and were like, ugh, well, I'm not going to spend $700 on this. Well, that's what he ultimately said in the review. So if they didn't buy it, whether they watched the review or whether that was sensational or not, that's what they should have done, was not buy it. Oh, and I'm not just trying to pick on this one guy. Like I said, there were tons of people that were agreeing with him. There were outlets, things like that. And this had actually happened not that long ago with another review. It's just, that's the one that I saw, and that one actually really blew up and kind of started this conversation yet again. But definitely don't go over there, respond to him or anything like that. This is not at all at just one person. This is aimed at the idea that's being conveyed here. So yeah, if you can't tell, I am just really frustrated about this. I've been thinking about it, gathering my thoughts, trying to figure out why I really just felt the need to discuss it. But anyway, let me know what you think about all this down in the comments below. And of course, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And as always, have a great day.